Sabres beat the New York Islanders in a 4-point swing game to put them 3 points back of a playoff spot. UPL with his 5th shutout of the season and of his career. And I am joined by my co-host, Connor Hurley. But before we get to the game, just always remember, I'll hang up and listen to Two Goalies on Mike is brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, the premier market and tap room in all of Western New York. 8 different locations with over 300 beers to choose from. Open 7 days a week from 11:30 a.m. till 10:30 p.m. and later with live music, entertainment, and trivia at all 8 locations. And, of course, kid and dog friendly. Buffalo Go Apparel, our second sponsor, but definitely not always a priority for us. One of the best places to get all of your Buffalo sports apparel needs, from your shirts, your hats, your hoodies, now exclusively available. The 39 GOAT snapback hat, the RJ snapback hat, the GOATed shirts and hoodies and long sleeves, now available in long sleeves for the first time. All available exclusively at buffalogo.com, at Buffalogo Co. on Instagram and Twitter. Connor, Sabres, we talked about it the other night, but I think this was their most complete performance of the season. I mean, they dominated. There wasn't a time in this game where I was ever for a moment worried that the Islanders might come back and make a game of it. They dominated Patrick Waugh and the Islanders from start to finish.
Yeah, without question. Real quick, I listened to our commenter from last time that I would add another Sabres apparel to my background with each win.
Still didn't fix the other.
Nope. But I just added another. I added my golf clubs, and then I also added a Rasmus Dahlin jersey to the background. So we're going to keep going. We might as well, because I got enough stuff, and I'm just too lazy to put it up. But given the vibes that we have right now, the second 3-game winning streak of the season, as you said, the fifth shutout for UPL this season, 69 points for the Buffalo Sabres. Nice. 3 points out. And guess who lost tonight? Again, the Detroit Red Wings, who are in what would be best described as a free fall. So that's good.
Their goaltending, by the way, atrocious.
Not great. I think the Coyotes are a pesky team, as the Sabres have seen this season. So that's not an easy game by any means. They've got nothing to lose, and they've got a lot of young, talented guys. So I'm not surprised they lost, but at the same time, they've lost 7 straight. And this Sabres team is pretty good on the road. I just realized it's a 9:38 a.m. Saturday game for me on Saturday.
For you, baby.
West Coast sports times. That's always a lot of fun. 12:30 for everybody in Buffalo. But, yeah, as you said, absolute complete game from start to finish. Looked like a playoff team, if we're being honest. It looked like a team that knows that they're fighting for their lives, that from the opening puck drop, especially in this game, those first 3 shifts where they had the Islanders hemmed into their zone for
the second shift, especially that second shift,
felt like 3+ minutes, just cycling the puck. The Islanders, we'll go over this later, but they play the most boring brand of hockey you could possibly imagine. And if they're not
Devil style stuff, man.
Exactly. And if they're not up in a game, and that's why that goal by Victor Olofsson was so huge, if they're not up in a game, it's hard for them to come back. And if they're not just trapped into their own zone, clogging up the neutral zone, that speaks trouble for this team, because they don't have too many guys that can create on their own. So, yeah, unbelievable game by the Sabres.
And nothing to take away from UPL. Obviously, he played great tonight. But how about just how night and day better defensively this team is from where they were the first 30 games of the year? I mean, how much puck watching has absolutely gone down. Getting him and shooting and passing lanes, just honestly, just looking, the jam, especially below the dots. Like, it's so much better of a team 5-on-5 defensively than what we saw for the first half of the season. I mentioned during the game, Connor Clifton, say what you want about how he started his Sabres career, but that is a guy who has been a big key part to this team defensively over the past, I'd say, 2 months. I don't have a bad thing to say about him. And it's hard to find bad things to say over the last 2 months. He's really found his game and settled in and found an identity on this team in that third pairing role. Flexible to play a top 4 role if you need him to. But if they were to go into next season with Connor Clifton on the third pairing, I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I was going to name him one of my 3 stars at the end of the game because I think that would have been a surprise to some people, but he's quietly got some dog in him the past few weeks. That fight, obviously, I think was a good spot for him to do that with a much bigger guy, the captain of the Islanders, a very tough guy in Anders Lee, and he held his own. He did not get dummied in a situation where a smaller guy absolutely would have gotten dummied. So it shows his heart. He's been a pretty physical presence on defense all season long. I think we saw that from the first 5 or 6 games. But in the middle of the year, like most of the team, he wasn't very good defensively, and he was puck watching a lot, and he wasn't moving his feet in his own end. But the entire team, not just Connor Clifton, is playing with more speed. They're playing with more intensity. I don't know if it was the trade deadline or losing their captain or losing their leading scorer or a combination of everything that woke this team up. But they are a different hockey team the past 3 games, especially the past 2 games. Obviously, you get a big win against the Oilers, but what they've done to 2 teams that are currently in the playoffs, and the Red Wings and the Islanders, has made them look absolutely embarrassing for 2 teams that have been largely really good all season long. Obviously, hitting a little bit of a tough stretch, but gosh, they're peaking at the right time, and it gives me a nice sense of happiness that while we were frustrated in December and early January, mid-January, even early February, since 2024, this team is, since the calendar year has turned to 2024, they're 17-11-1. The goals against and the save percentage are obviously incredible because Luukkonen's been amazing. But I'd like to pat ourselves on the back. I don't think we ever gave up. I really don't think so. Maybe I did at certain points, but it's been a journey for this team, and they've finally reached their potential, which is absolutely wild given what they've done in the past week and a half.
I agree, man. You talk about the trade deadline, the impact that Bo Byram has had on this team since in just a small handful of games. I think it's getting undeniable how well he meshes with Rasmus Dahlin in that top pairing and the flexibility he gives them for the other 2 pairings, having him there. Owen Power kind of settling in. I know he had a couple points tonight, paired with Yoki Haru, and then Connor Clifton, of course, on the third pairing. Just the flexibility you now have with your defensive pairings since you brought Bo in, and just what he brings, just defensively and offensively. We talk about it a couple times, but you could literally mention it every single game how he moves the puck up ice, how he exits his zone entries, just his ability to patiently wait for his teammates to find a patch of ice, and he just leads them into it. You said it in a tweet before. He's Dahlin light.
Yeah, it was pretty apparent watching the highlights. I clearly hadn't seen a lot of him aside from the playoff run a couple of years ago, and even that was a long time ago, almost 2 years. And he's obviously been injured here and there. But just watching the highlights, as you said, they are highlights, but they are also an amalgamation of everything he can do at his best. And when he's given free rein and when he plays with the best players, he's playing on a line, not a line, but a defensive pairing, and also on the first power play unit with Rasmus Dahlin, a guy that maybe he didn't look up to because he was only drafted a year after him, but it's a guy that he's clearly modeled his game after. He plays in the exact same way. Yes. Dahlin's been quietly just awesome in the same way UPL has over the past 2 months after a tough stretch in the middle of the season, just like the rest of the team. But it weirdly added balance to the rest of the roster. And I think it woke the forward group up a little bit, knowing that they didn't have their number 1 playmaker and their leading scorer on the team anymore. I think it's given even guys like Zach Benson, an 18-year-old kid, more of an opportunity to assert all of his strengths. We talk about his diminutive nature and him being small, but what is there to be said about just putting in the most effort on every single shift, on dogging every single puck, being a pest? Jordan Greenway, again. I watch him out there sometimes, and I cannot believe he's a guy that had 2 points on the Minnesota Wild when we traded for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's everything everybody thought about Jordan Greenway in the beginning of his career. The size, the speed, the physicality. Even obviously we mentioned it last show, but Alex Tuch is returning to his speedy, physical, skilled form.
Looks healthy, man. He looks healthy.
Yeah. And even if Tage doesn't look that healthy, he had that toe drag tonight and a near goal, which in my opinion should have been reviewed a little bit longer. But he
pushed him into that.
He probably pushed him into the net. But he should be rewarded, in my opinion, for a really nice move that looked like vintage Tage Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
That at least a little bit gave you a glimmer of hope that maybe he's getting healthier, that whatever he's been dealing with is going by the wayside. So, gosh, everything's coming up the Sabres right now, and it's really crazy.
Yeah, and Owen Power too, just adding to his point total with another 2 more assists, 26 points on the season in 61 games. I think Zach Benson with his 9th goal tonight, adding to his rookie total. I think he has 23 points in 50-something games. As an 18-year-old, I don't know, they can't express how impressive that is for a kid who wasn't expected at all to be in the NHL this year as an undersized. They would say an undersized 18-year-old. I just can't wait. I know we talked about how much of a pest he is, and like they mentioned on other podcasts too. When you talk about captains and stuff like that and attributes, and like he mentioned, if you were to go off the board with who you'd put a letter on this team, like when you say just hypothetically, if the Sabres go off the board, I think like Zach Benson would be like complete.
Yeah, but he's got some time. We'll do that in 5 years.
No, I'm not saying he should be, but like if you're looking at attributes that you want in a player, Zach Benson possesses all of them. Like
for sure.
Can you find a shift this season where you looked at him and like said, yeah, he gave up on that play, or
no,
the effort wasn't there, even when the team was playing like dog shit, and you question the team's effort. Zach Benson wasn't a part of that. The kid just is constantly going, and I can't wait for him to grow and become an adult, because when he does, holy shit, man, is he going to be a player to deal with in this league?
Zach Benson is the first Sabres 18-year-old to have 5 points with multiple goals in a 2-game span since Pierre Turgeon in November 1987.
When's the last time he had like I can't remember if Jack was 18 when he came into the league.
I think he was. He played that season.
Either that or it was he just hit 19.
Yeah, obviously Dahlin was, but that's an unfair stat to him given that he's not as much of a goal scorer. But I mean, Pierre Turgeon, very, very good NHL player.
Yeah,
and obviously one of the best players of the Sabres in the 80s and the 90s. So that's good company to be in. Obviously, this is a really good 2-game stretch for him. But yeah, it still boggles my mind that he fell to 13. I'm not sure what NHL GMs were thinking. We've talked about this before. There was a run on defensemen. I think when we did our mock draft, he went 8th overall last offseason, and he fell all the way to 13.
Yep.
Lucky us, obviously, given the Savoy connection and also Peyton Krebs. Kevin Adams was able to jump on that. But, yeah, it's really amazing. We talk about Braden Point as his ceiling, which honestly would be tough to achieve given how much Braden Point has achieved in the NHL. He's a really, really good NHL player. But I'm even starting to think, given how much of an impact Zach Benson has had, is it potentially could be greater than that. Maybe not from a point production perspective, but who knows? Because, like you said, 23 points in 57 games as a rookie when he hasn't even fully grown into his body and he's playing in this league for the first time is really remarkable. So sky's the limit for him, and I think these past 2 games show you not only what he can do for the rest of this season, but even just next year as well. He's a top 6, middle 6 guy for the next 10 to 15 years.
Some notable post-game comments from Don Granato. Granato says UPL success has been part of the plan. Developing 2 young goalies and seeing the progress in those areas is very rewarding. Granato, also from Granato, that was an elite goal on Olofsson's power play goal. Says he stayed ready for his opportunity. He has seen him prepare and is so happy for him to get after the work to get in. He also says he won't comment on the Benson penalties, says his checking account is a little lighter, and then laughs a little.
Another example of Zach Benson, a few phantom calls tonight.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Hey, he's a 5'9" rookie. He's 18 years old.
Yeah.
I think he's just a target.
Granato says they were close to getting frustrated because they were playing the right way, and it was still 0-0. So the Olofsson goal was huge and gave them a little lift. More. UPL says Craig Anderson is here from time to time, and he has been helpful to him. Says he gets a couple tips here and there. Craigie, I love it. I love it that he's just still around the organization.
That's a pretty good indication that, wow, this has been really frustrating, and we've had our faults and our issues with how things have been run recently. Craig Anderson played in the league for 25 years. He played with multiple different teams, and the fact that he decided to stay on with the Sabres after his career was over, that does say something.
Yeah. UPL says it means a lot to have 5 shutouts, second in the NHL right now. Says it means a lot that success comes when the team is playing well. He feels like he's made it as an NHL goalie, and he tries to make the most out of his confidence right now and help the team win. And we always said it in the past with him, is like it was never the physical ability, the athleticism. It was always just up here with him. And the second that guy got confidence and swagger, he took off and hasn't looked back yet. UPL says as a group now they are playing with a nothing to lose mentality. Says there's no reason to back down now. Says they are playing fearlessly right now. He also says it's been a long year, ups and downs, but as a group, they are taking it one game at a time. A lot of good stuff here in the post game via Brian Koziel. So, they are playing fearlessly because they do have nothing to lose. I just can't wait to see what this team and its youth can do once they get that monkey off their shoulders of the playoff drought, and fans can stop talking about it. Media can stop talking about it. You know, I can't wait because I think you're as loose as they look right now. This is the team you're going to see more consistently once that stigma of the drought is gone.
Totally. I mentioned it the other night, like if they were to do it this year, especially after the way this started, that would be an unbelievable accomplishment. And also it would make it that much better, and it would take the pressure off that much more if they are able to do it. I think we all thought the same thing about last season, but last season was a tiny bit more consistent. Of course, they went 9-2 in their last 11 with the insane Devin Levi run, but the way this season went, with all the expectations, with all the injuries, with the lack of goal scoring and the inconsistency, not able to string 2 or 3 games in a row, it's obviously been incredibly frustrating, not just for us, but I think for Don Granato, for Kevin Adams, for the entire team. Jack Quinn, obviously, it's been really, really unfortunate year for him, and you saw how good they were when he was in the lineup. Speaking of Devin Levi, they're taking one game at a time. We mentioned last show, but I think it needs to be discussed again. Monday and Tuesday. Monday, you're in Seattle. So they play the Red Wings early, which is good. I think UPL definitely starts that game against the Kraken Monday night in Seattle. Very good team at home, really good atmosphere. But, of course, with the run he's been on, he's got a day and a half of rest after the Red Wings game. He plays that game. Next night, they're in Vancouver. Not that big of a travel distance in terms of geographic, and then maybe it will depend on the amount of work he gets in that Seattle game. But as we discussed, I think you bring Levi on that trip and start him against the Canucks. I can't stress enough that.
So they play. Who do they play before the Canucks?
The Kraken on Monday night in Seattle, and then Tuesday night in Vancouver. And then you don't have a back-to-back.
I can't see you. I just can't see you starting UPL both those games.
That's what I'm saying, though. So the last time they started him back-to-back was when he was in a situation where he didn't have that much work the day before. And they played the Jets the next day, and the entire team lost their legs in the third period. But especially on a West Coast swing, a road trip, time travel, time change, everything involved in that, I don't know how you don't bring up the guy who was – he's been really good in a
I'm looking up his numbers. I know last time I saw he had like a 926 save percentage.
In the AHL, yeah. His
AHL,
record's not that great, but the team hasn't been playing that great, but his numbers are incredible.
Well, the players that you are normally scoring for them just aren't right now.
Yeah. So I mean, I love Comrie. I think he's a great personality. I don't think the losses this year have been completely on him, but I don't necessarily trust him to go into Vancouver and help us win a hockey game that we need to win. So we've talked about Devin Levi in big games, how good he is in big games, how much he rises to the occasion. I think he would just treat that as another challenge. And then you don't have a back-to-back for a while, and you can send him back down and keep developing him, because I think he would probably enjoy that too. So, yeah, I hope they do it, but I have a feeling they're not going to.
I think they should.
I think they should, but I don't think they will.
Well, I mean,
that's a different discussion.
Comrie was healthy last time, correct? And pretty sure he was healthy last time. They brought him up instead of.
Well, I thought they brought him up the last time from the AHL because UPL was sick.
Yeah, but he still played.
No, I know that. What I'm saying is that they brought Levi up from the AHL and he played against Boston that night. And I think the only reason they brought him back up was because they needed to. This would be a situation of not need. It would be a situation of.
But on the West Coast trip, when they brought him on the West Coast trip, that's when they played LA. They played LA, San Jose, and who else?
Well, it was Anaheim,
LA,
and San Jose. I think UPL played against the Ducks.
From what I remember, they sent him back down to Rochester. Was it after that Boston game? Because it was like a paper transaction. They sent him down. He went down to Rochester. No, that's what it was. Because that's what it was. I remember now. He didn't play for 2 weeks. They sent him down to Rochester to play a game and then brought him back up for that West Coast trip.
Okay.
I don't think it was because UPL was sick. I want to say this was a similar situation that we're getting into that it was then, is they brought him up because
and Comrie. Yeah.
Comrie.
Okay. Well, I really hope they do it. I think you got to throw all your cards on the table at this point, like they did last year when he had just gotten out of the NCAA tournament and they brought him in for a little bit more stability in net, and he went on a Linsanity type run. So
Linsanity, I love it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it was at the end of last year. And I mean, Luukkonen's not just on a Linsanity type run. Luukkonen's, to make reference to the coach that we just beat, he looks like Patrick Waugh. Like he looks like Patrick Waugh in his prime right now, which is pretty amazing to think about. But of course, he needs to do it for more than 3 months, which I'm confident that he will. Even so,
I want to give a shout out here to this guy. I'm pretty sure it's him, Christopher Capolini. I actually met this gentleman today. I was talking to Carl. Also, shout out. I'm pretty sure his name is Carl. Shout out to Carl, owner of one of the stores I was in today. We were talking about the Sabres, about how big tonight's game was, how good they've been playing, talking deeply about Bo Byram and how much of an impact he's had. And Christopher came into the conversation and he starts talking, and me and him were directly talking, and he flat out goes, "Hey, are you Duane?" I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, I listen to yours and Connor's podcast. And I'm like, "Oh, no shit. That's awesome." He goes, "I'm actually listening to it right now." I'm like, "No, you're not." He was literally listening to our podcast at that moment while he was talking to us, which was crazy. So I hooked him up with some stuff that again, I don't like getting too personal, my personal life on social media, but like hooked him up with some stuff from work. Told him we give him a shout out here tonight, him and Carl over at Buddy. So shout out to both of you guys. Thank you for always supporting the show and supporting the Sabres. So runs like this are for guys like us who've never jumped off the wagon. So shout out to you, Chris. Shout out
for
to
the real
Carl.
sickos. It's for the real sickos that never leave no matter what.
So big 5-game road trip starting Saturday: Detroit, Seattle, Vancouver, Edmonton, and Calgary. Going to be as tough as it gets. More from Christopher. The new lines seem to be really working, except the Tage line could be better. What is up with that Tage line? I know, we got some points there from Tuck the other night. Tage kind of scores here and there.
It's Tage, Tuck, and Gergensons, correct?
Gergensons, yeah. So is the Gergensons the problem there? Is it?
No, I don't think so, because we know what Zemgus Gergensons is going to give to this team. So I think you could throw Gergensons on any line, and he's going to do what Zemgus Gergensons has done for the past 10 years. So I do think it is Tage, and it's Tage not producing at the level that Tage is used to. And I think we've mentioned it a few times. He's not at 100% health. He is not the same player he was last season. I don't think he has been all year. So yeah, I guess like compared to the other lines tonight, not as good, but Tage is still, he's like almost become like a distraction, right? Like even on the power play, everybody's shading over to him. Anytime Tage has the puck, 2 or 3 guys are around him. What he did to that defender tonight, that toe drag, what we became used to last season, that was when he was going one-on-one with guys. So when he starts to get a little bit healthier and get those opportunities, he's going to be able to do that still, because those skills don't just go away. I just think his confidence and his ability to get to the front of the net with moves like that have suffered because of his injuries.
Yep. Good comment here from Peter Fitzgerald. Isles, Wings, and Capital are some of the worst playoff contenders I've seen in recent memory. Wouldn't be shocked if 88 points is good enough for the second wildcard spot. And we've said this on the show too, man. Like there's a lot of like parity in the East this year in our division. Like it's not as spread out, your good teams and your bad teams as last year as it is this year. So yeah, you might be able to get in with 90 points or maybe a little bit less than that. It is a possibility. I just don't think the East has been as dominant this year as it was last year, where
last year was 92.
Yeah.
So it's not like that was this crazy amount of points to get into the wild card spot. I think we all probably went into this year hoping for 94, 95, because we probably thought that's the threshold we would have needed to get to. But yeah, it's a down year. I mean, I'm just looking at the race right now. Washington's game against the Kraken just started. They do have 2 games in hand on the Sabres, and they have the same amount of points. They've got a bunch of loser points, and they have less regulation losses. So that's the difference there, obviously. The Sabres have the second most regulation wins of the 5 teams in playoff contention. The Sabres have 26 regulation wins. The Lightning have 28. The Islanders have 21. The Red Wings have 23. The Capitals have 24. The Penguins have 24. The Devils, similar position to us, also have 26. They just don't have any loser points. So, yeah, it's definitely a down year. And like you think of the Capitals, and they traded Evgeny Kuznetsov. They don't have Nicholas Backstrom anymore. They've got a bunch of young guys, which I think are playing actually pretty well. In Connor McMichael and that Russian defenseman whose last name I can't pronounce that they just brought up.
I won't even try it.
Miroshenko or whatever his name is. It's a very long last name. But Charlie Lindgren has been playing really well. They have Darcy Kemper still, obviously won a cup for the Abs less than 2 years ago. So while you don't think of them as being a team that could do this, they also have Alex Ovechkin. They have John Carlson. They have the guys that helped them win a cup back in 2018. Is it 2018 at this point? Gosh, time flies. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's as good of a situation as you could imagine for the Sabres given where we were 2 months ago.
I love this comment from Mauricio. Ric Flair, woo, 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 impressive win, opportunistic scoring, driving in that, rebounds, tips, dirty goals. Finally, the boys are maturing into professional hockey players, sound fundamentals.
They're even making Mauricio positive.
I know, right?
What a time to be alive.
I know, man. He's becoming a mark. I love it. The last 2 games, I have turned it on, and a goal was being reviewed. I saw the end of the first and could pick it up until the 10:30 left in the second, and all of a sudden we're up 3-0. Maybe I should not watch. You got to do whatever you got to do, Aaron, for this team.
Nope, absolutely not. Don't believe in superstition. You have no effect on the game whatsoever. Watch the game.
Sabres defense is playing great. Crazy to think it will only get better with Matthias Samuelson's return. Also, remember Quinn is hurt, and that'll be a good return as well. See Byram clear the front of the net, knock guys down, started a scrum. Yeah, again, the Bo effect. The bow impact. What's a good we need to find
the boa constrictor.
Ooh, I like that.
Boa constrictor. I don't know.
Well, I came up with because obviously Bo, the Dukes of Hazzard, that video, the Dukes of Buffalo. Maybe him and Darlene. I don't know, but there's got to be something there with that name that we can have some fun with. Red Rocket, what's your St. Patrick's Day plans? Luck of the Irish, the pond, the shining upon the Sabres.
See, this is great. This is a relevant question because I don't live in Mexico. I'm going over to my buddy's house. This is the thing. The game's at 9:30 in the morning for me on Saturday. So he's going to cook some corned beef. We're going to have some Guinness, some Jameson, and celebrate responsibly.
Do yourself a favor. I tried it. It's the Irish cream Java Monster. They have those Java lines. Mm-hmm. It's super good. Super good. Give it a rip.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Nice little shameless plug.
Well, no, not even that, dude. It was really good, and people mix that stuff with alcohol, so give it a rip. I bet you it tastes delicious.
Sounds like an Irish Four Loko.
It could be.
That's exactly what that is. I don't need that. I'm getting old.
Benson continues to impress more so lately. He's 18. He's 165 pounds soaking wet. He's not an adult yet. Wait till he becomes an adult, man. I'm just telling you.
He's
going to be
dog.
crazy.
Dog.
Absolute dog. DAWWG. Yes and yes. This pod is one of the few about the Sabres that doesn't just follow the crowd. You analyze and stick to your idea. We appreciate that, Aaron.
You see what happens in the chat when the Sabres win? There's compliments. People are meeting people in person.
I know, man.
Mauricio is being positive and asking relevant questions. What is going on?
Benson has to watch the penalties, though. Other than that, he's been really good.
You know who has to watch the penalties? The fucking National Hockey League.
Yeah, I know.
Because I would say 75% of the penalties he's taken this year are phantom. They don't exist. They're being acknowledged on the broadcast, and the head coach can't even speak about them because he wants to, and he doesn't want to get fined. Yeah. I'm not yelling, but it's frustrating.
Another phantom penalty on Benson tonight for tripping as a guy fell himself.
It's insane.
Another new listener. I haven't seen this one yet. K-Dog. Thank you, Arizona, for giving us Benson. I can't believe they passed up on him.
I mean, that's the thing. Arizona was in a position. They've been bad for so long that they've taken so many small forwards with playmaking skill, Logan Cooley, what have you. But they needed a defenseman, and they took a defenseman. Yep. And that defenseman's not going to play on their team for 2 years.
Yep. For Aaron, Mitz got thrown to the NHL at 18 and it ruined his development, set him back a few years. I was worried with Benson that this would happen, but he also did more than 0 pull-ups.
Different type of player.
Yeah. And he also Mitz went from high school to college hockey.
Exactly.
Whereas Benson played in I wouldn't say it's a better league, obviously, junior to NCAA.
It's a more pro style league.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that he was more ready for the National Hockey League than maybe Middlestat was. And Middlestat should have spent another year in college. He should have.
I think everybody can agree on that. I just think that Middlestat's game is way more catered to playmaking, making pretty passes, as we saw him do over the past year and a half, and we're going to continue to see him do on the Avalanche. Benson, coming out of the WHL and in the draft, he was marketed or lauded just as an absolute hound. Not only just a playmaker, but this dude just does not stop. His motor is on all the time. And every single thing, this is why we were so excited after the draft. And I think, not to pat myself on the back, this is why I said I thought he could make the team as soon as we drafted him. Mm-hmm. And it's because of what
I'd be interested. Remember we did our mock draft?
I just said we had him at 8.
We had him at 8? Yeah. So, wow. Good memory.
I looked it up after he fell to 13 because I was interested in what the projections were. And that was the lowest I had seen from any mock draft, not just ours. Every single projection of Zach Benson was a top 10 player in that class. Mm-hmm. And he fell because teams needed defense. They needed size. Yeah, and the Sabres weren't afraid to double up on a type of player that they've had recently. Turns out he's a different type of player.
Yeah. Again, I'm actually now looking forward to. I think Steve said he'd come and do it on us again this off season for the mock draft again. So that's exciting. Good comment here from Aaron. He gets them because he works so hard. He pushes himself to the limit and past. He has the confidence that he can do it, and even when he can't. That is a good point because he is skating hard. He is putting, I guess, back checking, I guess, or trying to catch up with the play. He's skating his ass off, and maybe hard work is being mistaken for whatever these penalties are that he's getting, because I certainly don't understand it.
No, I really do believe that it's a product of him being as small as he is, as young as he is. He doesn't have a reputation with some of these refs yet. That really does matter. Like, a lot of these refs know these guys, and you establish a rapport and a relationship, and you get off with some stuff. It's just human nature. These refs aren't robots. And sometimes they call things and they make calls for guys that they've known or they've seen themselves in different situations, and they haven't seen Zach Benson. And maybe they see him hounding pucks and slashing guys and getting into corners and whatnot. But he is the product of the way he plays and also his age and his relatively new status in the league.
From Kevin here, Joseph's fit back in nicely. He hasn't hurt the team. I forget that Joseph was even playing. I know I saw him on the screen a couple of times, but
it's a good way to describe it. He's not doing anything bad, but he's not doing anything
great, but he's not doing anything bad. If you're not hearing his name, that's probably sometimes a good thing.
On the fourth line, if they are being responsible defensively, getting pucks out, getting pucks deep, that's kind of what we need right now.
Tage looked good. He just hasn't found the net. From Charles, to our point earlier, do you call up Levi to back up the stretch run if this continues? I mean, that's a good question, even beyond the West Coast trip.
Well, I know for the entire season, because you're starting UPL in every game that matters when he has rest. So you don't want Devin Levi sitting on the bench for 3 weeks.
I mean, in terms of beyond, say if you find a way to get into the playoffs,
you put him on the playoff roster. Right? Well, yeah, I think you got to put him on the playoff roster, right?
Yeah, I mean, he is on the bench as your backup.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I just wanted to make sure.
No, but the playoffs are a different story, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying you continue to play him in Rochester. He continues to develop and do well.
Oh no, I don't disagree with you there.
Yeah, leading up to the playoffs. Yeah.
I'm just stating, rather than him obviously give Rochester the best chance to win on a run for a Calder Cup.
No, he's
in Buffalo.
He's got to be the backup if they make the playoffs. And I think different to what I think they'll do for the West Coast swing, I think they would absolutely do that. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Aaron, I watched UPL highlights when he was 15 and 16 years old. Hope they drafted him, and they did. Went to his first game in North America against the Marlies, and then got a job for the Amerks to watch him. People trashed him after double hip surgery. Expects him to be a legend right after.
Really,
we always said it on this show. We knew he had the talent. It's tough for any athlete with that type of procedure done on both hips to be successful, especially as a goaltender, because our hips are so important to pretty much everything that we do in that. But yeah, I'm glad the patience has paid off.
I agree. I think that it's obviously not an easy thing to come back from, and it takes some time. And also, just in the NHL, goalies are weird. I think we know that as well as anybody, that development is not a straight line for any goalie in the NHL. I think is he 24?
24 or 25, I believe. Yes.
So still relatively young as far as goalies are concerned in the league. And that's why this entire Devin Levi discussion has been complicated, because as good as he was in college, as good as he was at the end of last season, starting him as much as they did to begin this year probably wasn't the best idea, but they didn't think that they had another option. They hadn't trusted UPL yet because he hadn't shown it aside from a month or two last season. So yeah, it's a non-linear thing with NHL goalies. And I just think it's amazing that UPL has been able to persevere through all of that. I think it's been a tough road for him. First round pick, or is he early second? Even so, that never happened. Won the World Juniors, was the best player in that tournament in 2018 for Finland. He was the guy that Sabres fans were clinging their hopes to from 2018 to 2021. He was the Devin Levi before Devin Levi came around when we traded Sam Reinhart.
Yep.
So for him to finally ascend to this level where even tonight, he quietly was just really good. And he's been quietly, not even quietly in some games, but he's been really, really good for 3 months now. And that's not just like, as we mentioned earlier, a Linsanity run. That is sustained excellence in the hardest league in the world to do it in. And we've mentioned before, the Sabres aren't the best defensively. They've been playing better recently, but he still had to make some tough saves tonight, and he got a shutout against a pretty good hockey team. So can't say enough about him. I'm just so happy to see it.
I agree. Very happy to see it finally. Like the hard work and the patience paid off. From Hunter, have Levi play versus the Krakens. From K-Dog, it's the defense plays like tonight. It doesn't matter who we play in that. I agree to an extent because the defense was damn near flawless tonight. But you're not going to get that.
If you put us in that might be a 4-3
story, but
or a 4-3 Sabres. But I'd let in a couple. That one, just an example. That one cross crease push. The one cross crease push that he got his glove over. That's just an unbelievable high danger chance NHL quality save that not many people make. Speaking of which, the glove save Sorokin made on Payne Krabs.
Filthy.
One of the sickest saves.
Filthy, dude. Oh, what a windmill glove save on a Thursday.
Oh, my God. And it's not even just a windmill. Like, the windmill was amazing, but the fact that he even got there, oh, my God, the split. That's what makes it fun sometimes, watching just random NHL games. The level of goaltending in the league is largely pretty incredible. And Ilya Sorokin's one of the best examples.
One of the best in the world.
He is
such
unbelievably good. And it makes me happy that Russia might not be allowed to play in the 2026 Olympics. So he won't be a part of it.
I for instance, what was I going to say? I had a point about Sorokin. Oh no, that play, I need Peyton Krebs to score there, not because I think he should have scored there as an unbelievable effort from Sorokin. That's a guy that just needs to find the back of the net right now.
Sure.
He's filling some big shoes right now, at least in the eyes of Sabres fans, and obviously the eyes of his teammates. And you need that guy to find the back of the net.
I'll say this though, I don't need him. Yeah, we definitely need it once or twice, but I just need him to continue to play with the high level playmaking that we expect from him. I don't think anyone ever expected him to be a goal scorer, right? Mm-hmm. He's not going to score 20 goals a year, even at his best. But if he can give you 10 to 15 and then also 35 to 40 assists, I think that's what everybody expects from Peyton Krebs.
Yeah. Luke Sanity.
I love that.
Yeah. Luke
might
Sanity.
Might have to steal that, Charles.
Might have to steal it, Charles. If they do bring him up, I'd love it. More security, but also UPL may take it the wrong way. I don't think so. He's been in that position already.
And from all accounts, they're very close. I think they've even kept in contact since Levi's been in Rochester.
Yep.
And there's videos that the team puts out of the way these guys interact. And the one thing we always talk about Devin Levi is how good of a kid he is, how humble he is. Uh-huh. And I would say the same thing about Luukkonen. He seems the exact same way, hardworking, very nice dude. And just the team in general, they're very close, which makes me a little bit sad that Okposo's gone. And let's say we make the playoffs and he's not there. Oh man, obviously he's on the Panthers now and they have a really good chance of winning the cup, but I'd be a little bit upset about that.
I would be too. Yeah. I honestly think getting rid of Okposo and EJ has changed the pace, which we never got Erik Johnson.
Erik Johnson for sure.
Yeah. Okposo, we knew his place on this team and why he was here.
I mean, if we're being honest, they got rid of the 3 slowest players on the team.
And look how much better they look.
Casey's a different stratosphere, obviously, because he provides something that no one else had. High-level playmaking. Kyle Okposo and Erik Johnson didn't do that. So I wouldn't put Casey Middleset in the same umbrella, under the same umbrella as Erik Johnson, Kyle Okposo. But the speed is noticeable, especially to begin games. So maybe they're onto something.
Yeah. Mature playoff style game tonight. Yeah, I agree.
The past two felt like a playoff game.
Right. Another new commenter, Owen Hebler. Avs play such a high-paced game. It seems Bo has brought it to the Sabres exactly what they need. Dude, there is a lot of new commenters here in the YouTube chat, and I couldn't appreciate it more. Let's Bo Buffalo.
Oh, that's good too.
Sticks and Cricks. I might steal that one, bud.
Let's
Bo Buffalo.
The new commenters and the positivity. This is all product of the Sabres actually being good.
From Ken, another new commenter. Go Sabres, we got this. Benson, the next Chris Drury.
I mean, different. Also, like I would say, even a different style of game. I would, gosh, I almost compare him to like a Brad Marchand.
Yeah. Without the really dirty antics.
Well,
he's not out there licking people in the face.
In the eyes of the NHL, he's the dirtiest player in the league.
Love this channel. Go Sabres. Thank you, Chavo. Another from Chris. Dogs and cats living together. Mass historians. Oh, it's funny.
I don't know if I know that. I don't know if I know that reference.
At the first, I thought it was Dumb and Dumber. Our pets' heads are. What's the quote from Dumb and Dumber? When they get back to the apartment.
I haven't seen it in so long, but that sounds about right.
Somebody in the chat would probably quote it. Our pets' heads are falling off.
Our pets' heads are falling off.
When they get back, they thought the electric bill collector or whatever was the one who they thought they were the bill collectors, that the people who cut the bird's head off, and then they sold it to the blind kid. Usually comment on Facebook, but you don't get those, so I came to drive you nuts in the comments. Would have been here for wins or losses. True. UPL is the lights out, man. Keep him healthy. Benson, the next Drury too. I feel like Greenway has been on one lately, which is awesome. And Owen Power, he looks like he is finally trying to shoot and not make one too many passes. Go Sabres.
Yeah, he's obviously, I think since the return from his injury, he's been really good. And obviously he took a lot of heat earlier in the year, but so did the entire team. No one was playing particularly well. And everybody that wanted to ship Owen Power out of town, to you, I say, you were wrong.
Yep. Greenway doesn't get enough credit. His penalty killing is great. He's the ultimate toolbox guy, man. He has it all.
Yeah.
Levi has been insane in Rochester. One game, he had 52 saves, gave up 2 goals. He was making over 30 saves when only giving up a couple goals.
And I think we knew that was probably going to happen, given how good he was in college. The logical next step was always the AHL. They just brought him up to the NHL at the end of last season out of necessity, obviously. Yep. And then they started him this season out of necessity because they didn't trust anybody else. And it turns out maybe he wasn't fully ready, and that is okay because he's 21 years old. But you're now coming into a situation where you could have a Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman type situation with this team in the next couple of years, which I think would be really good for everybody. I don't think anyone would hate that. So see what happens. I don't think anyone's talking about one guy has to be the bell cow over the other. I think the best thing that could possibly happen is the proper development of both guys. And if you already have a legit number one starter in UPL and you've got another one coming up, can only mean good things for this franchise.
Yeah. I like this comment here from Zach, friend of the program. UPL should get Vezina votes. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. I don't think he would win it, even if this team does get to the playoffs, just because I don't think they would view him as the sexy.
So I don't think he wins either, given the start. But I've been seeing a lot of this online the past couple of days.
Yeah.
He's top 5 in everything.
Yep.
Everything. Games played.
If he continues this run, he'll be the first goalie with 30 wins in a season since Ryan Miller.
Yeah. So games played, obviously games started. Goals against average, save percentage, high danger save percentage. Every metric that you use to judge the best goalies in the league, he's top 5 in every single metric.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that if the Sabres make the playoffs, I think he comes in second or third place, probably only behind Connor Hellebuck. Markstrom's had a pretty good year, but they might not even make the playoffs. Yeah, there's a chance he could just be behind Hellebuck, who we all think of as the best goalie in the league. So
I think you got a new nickname, man. This is the third time he's called you the Red Baron next Sabres assistant coach.
I don't mind that nickname.
You don't get experience Ellis has none.
I don't mind. Speaking of playoffs, I got a playoff game tonight, and I got to get out of here pretty soon.
Oh, I apologize, man. Yeah, we'll get you out of here.
All good. Gotta get another dub tonight. Team's doing really well. It's a revenge game for the boys. I think I told you last season that team that snitched on us.
This is them.
This is them.
That'll get chippy.
We played them the last game of the regular season, and 4 guys got kicked out in the final 2 minutes. So it's going to get chippy. I'm kind of equating it to how I equated the Sabres game tonight. It's a revenge game. It's everything you want from a beer league hockey game. The stands are going to be full. It's going to be unbelievable. So really looking forward to it. Vibes are good after.
Vibes are great. Vibes are great. And also great vibes at Fatty Beer. Any 8 of their locations, they have over 300 beers to choose from. Make sure you go check them out. Open 7 days a week from 11:30 a.m. till 10:30 p.m. later. Bring your kids, bring your dogs. It's all friendly over there at Fatty Beer. Live music, entertainment, and trivia at all 8 locations. And, of course, Buffalo Logo Apparel, one of the premier spots to get all of your Buffalo sports apparel needs, whether it's your shirts, your hats, your hoodies. Buffalo Logo has that all. Get your hands on the 39 Goated snapback hat, exclusively available at buffalogo.com, at Buffalogo on Instagram, Twitter, at Fatty Beer on Instagram and Twitter. I am Duane for Connor.
You want to do 3 stars?
Oh, you have time? You have time?
I can do 3 stars real quick.
Okay, let's do the 3 stars here real quick.
3rd star, mentioned it earlier. I'm just going to go Connor Clifton out of the sake of being a little bit different, but also acknowledging a guy that's played much better recently. He had a fight tonight. He had an assist. He was good in front of his own net, and I think that's a larger representation of the defense as a whole. So I thought he was amazing. Dylan Cousins, obviously a huge goal. Him scoring is going to be a big reason this team gets back into the playoff race and even makes it, because obviously him not scoring and him not producing as much as he did last season is a huge deal, and it was a reason they weren't playing as well as they were. I thought in general he's been driving play. His speed looks like he's back. I think that he's getting close. Same with Alex Tuck. He's getting closer to the version of what he was last season, and obviously that can only mean good things if you're seeing that from your second line center. 1st star, I think we all know, Zach Benson. He has had his 2 best games of the season in the 2 most important games of the season, and that tells you everything you need to know about an 18-year-old first-round draft pick from just this past season. Benny the Butcher, we call him. He's a dog. He's a hound.
Benny the Butcher.
He's a pest. He gives you everything and more on the ice, and we're going to have him for a long time. I think we can all be grateful and excited for that, but we have him right now, and he's playing like one of the best players on the team at this current moment. So
who needs a Bedard when you have a Benson? Before I hit my 3 stars, a couple new commenters. Benson was buzzing from Buffalo Sabres TNT. From NZ, let's go Warpath, baby. Ooh, Sabres on a warpath. I got nostalgia watching this game with my brother going nuts in our living room like it was 2010 all over again. We're back, baby. He just disagreed with K-Dog. I was surprised by this too. No UPL in your 3 stars.
So, yeah, it's a shutout, and I guess I should have acknowledged it from the beginning. We've had him in our 3 stars so often recently that I think he had 3 hard saves tonight. And
it was a light night for him.
Yeah, and that's a better idea of how well the defense played and how well the team played as a whole. I didn't think this was a tough game for him. And as a goalie, when you get a shutout, sometimes this is tongue in cheek as just a way to be humble. But I think he could objectively say that this was a pretty easy night for him. So
agreed.
Yeah, I quietly, he was really good. He made a couple really big saves, but I think the game was already out of reach at that point. So I just think that the guys I chose had more of an impact on the game. So
my 3 stars, obviously brought to you by Fatty Beer and Buffalo Logo Apparel. 3rd star, I'm going to go Owen Power, 2 assists. He's quietly been playing a very good game over the last few weeks. Definitely deserving of a 3rd star mention here. 2nd star, I'm actually going to go with your 3rd star, Connor Clifton. Big hits and a Tilly there with the captain of the Islanders. Didn't back down after laying out who did he hit?
For that,
Engvall.
I don't know.
He had Engvall. Laid him out, and then obviously whenever somebody hits you clean, there has to be a response. So, but Connor Clifton didn't back down. I mentioned in a couple of tweets over the past few weeks, I think he's been really solid for the Sabres over the last two to 3 months. So has really turned his game around since the first half of the season. And my first star going to go Zach Benson with 2 goals tonight. Again, just all over the ice, an absolute menace to society. Not a bad thing you could say about him over in this stretch of games, getting his 9th goal of the game, or setting the 9th goal of the game, 9th goal of the season, and 20-something points now. Not saying that, he is going to get any, rookie of the year votes, at the end of the season, but for an 18-year-old kid who isn't really close to being a full-grown adult yet, he's been beyond impressive here in his rookie season. 18-year-old kid. So that being said, Connor, good luck tonight in your playoff game. And as always, everybody, go Sabres, and super excited. Big win tonight. And we will see you on Saturday unless we decide to record before then. So if not, see you Saturday afternoon for the 12:30 matinee. Biggest game of the season. Could be 1 point out of a playoff spot if we win that one. 3 points out right now. So good night, everybody. Go Sabres.
Different.